So the ATF is now saying a trigger is a machine gun. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think it's time to abolish the ATF, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. I also want to give a shout out to one of the main sponsors of the channel, and that is Route 66 Shooting Sports Park in San Bernardino. If you guys came out to the recent Armed in May event, you know how amazing that range is, how amazing the staff is. So if you're in the LA area, if you're in the Southern California area, I highly recommend you guys check out their range. And thank you again, Route 66, for supporting this channel. So what we're going to be talking about in this video is the rare breed force reset trigger, which the ATF has sent a letter to that company indicating that that trigger is actually a machine gun. This story was picked up by a lot of people and was originally broken by John Crump from Ammo Land. He has the YouTube channel as well. So definitely want to give him his credit because he's the one who first kind of broke the news about this and everybody kind of picked it up from him. So want to give him his credit. But this has definitely been concerning to a lot of people, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the implications about this, kind of what's going on behind the scenes, and also take a look at some of the documents that were filed, the complaint, and some of the orders from the judge, and really just kind of how ridiculous this is that the ATF is now defining a specific trigger to be a machine gun. So for some quick background, the rare breed FRT-15 trigger is a drop-in trigger, and it actually resets the trigger by the bolt. And so it just allows you to kind of fire the trigger faster, fire the firearm faster, and it just force resets that trigger. So again, just allows you to have a faster rate of fire. Well, news broke that the ATF actually sent a letter to Rare Breed on July 26th of 2021, essentially indicating that in their eyes, the Rare Breed FRT trigger is actually a machine gun. So let's take a look at this letter. This states, "Dear Mr. Maxwell, this is in reference to the Rare Breed triggers model FRT-15 manufactured and marketed by your company. The ATF examined this trigger and determined it to be a machine gun as defined in the National Firearms Act. The NFA defines a firearm to include, in relevant part, a machine gun. A machine gun is defined under section 5845 subsection B as any weapon which shoots, is designed to shoot, or can be readily restored to shoot automatically more than one shot without manual reloading by a single function of the trigger. The term shall also include the frame or receiver of any such weapon, any part designed and intended solely and exclusively, or combination of parts designed and intended for use in converting a weapon into a machine gun, and any combination of parts for which a machine gun can be assembled if such parts are in the possession or under the control of a person. As the Rare Breed Triggers FRT-15 is a machine gun under the NFA, it is subject to registration, transfer, taxation, and possession restrictions applicable to these regulated weapons, which include criminal penalties relating to the illegal transfer and possession of said weapons." This letter then goes on to state those punishments, which include a $10,000 fine and a 10-year imprisonment. On the second page of this letter, the ATF goes on to state that the manufacture and sale of a machine gun is subject to significant legal restrictions and compliance under the GCA and the NFA. The NFA requires that the manufacturer register each firearm manufactured in the National Firearms Registration and Transfer Record. Any firearm manufactured or transferred in violation of the NFA is subject to seizure and forfeiture. ATF has concluded the Rare Breed Triggers model FRT-15 is a combination of parts designed and intended for use in converting a weapon into a machine gun. Hence, the FRT-15 has been classified as a machine gun as defined by the NFA and GCA. ATF's examination found the Rare Breeds trigger model FRT-15 allows a firearm to expel more than one shot without manual reloading with a single continuous pull of a trigger. Because the FRT-15 is properly classified as a machine gun, you must immediately take the following actions, and this is what they state the company should do. Cease and desist all manufacture and transfer of the Rare Breed Trigger FRT Model 15 and contact ATF within 5 days of receipt of this letter to develop a plan for addressing those machine guns already distributed. The letter then goes on to state that there is a $200 tax that is levied against each machine gun that is manufactured and then also each machine gun that is transferred, and they're saying that they will likely apply that $200 fee for both against Rare Breed. So essentially, the summary of this letter from the ATF to Rare Breeds is that they are going to define the force reset trigger that Rare Breed has as a machine gun as defined in the NFA and the GCA, because it is a combination of parts which converts essentially a firearm into something that the ATF is defining to be a machine gun. Therefore, that trigger itself is a machine gun. This is something important to note. The trigger, that whole drop-in component itself, is considered to be a machine gun, similar to how they defined a bump stock itself, just that device, to be a machine gun. It is not you dropping it into that firearm that makes that firearm a machine gun. It is the component itself that is a machine gun in the eyes of the ATF, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Now, in response to the letter from the ATF, the company filed a lawsuit on August 3rd against the DOJ and the ATF. In this complaint, which I took a look at, and I'll link down below, and I'll link all the stuff I can down below, the company sought a temporary restraining order and actually an ex parte temporary restraining order, which means they don't have to have the ATF appear. It was on an ex parte basis, and they sought this against the ATF and against the enforcement of the cease and desist letter until Rare Breed could actually obtain a preliminary injunction. They also sought a preliminary injunction, which is essentially a halt on the enforcement of the letter until the completion of the full trial. So they're going about this in multiple ways. They also sought a declaratory judgment that the FRT-15 is not a machine gun. So they are seeking this declaratory judgment from the court to have a determination that this is not a machine gun. And then they're also seeking a permanent injunction against the ATF from the enforcement against the FRT-15 as a machine gun. Now, after filing the complaint, and we'll take a look at that in just a second, and that has a lot of answers to probably some questions that you guys have, the court looked at the request for a temporary restraining order, and ultimately the court denied that, saying that Rare Breed did not show they will suffer what is called irreparable harm, which is one of the elements to be granted a TRO. So they said that Rare Breed did not meet this element, and therefore they denied that temporary restraining order from enforcement of the cease and desist order against their company and against these triggers. Now, when you look at the complaint from Rare Breed against the ATF, essentially it seems like the claim, of course, is what you would expect. It is saying that, in summary, the ATF's conclusion that the FRT-15 is a machine gun is simply incorrect, that the FRT-15 does not operate like an auto-sear, or it does not operate with an auto-sear. They also state that the FRT-15 requires a separate and independent pull function for each round to be fired. So this all goes to trying to find that that trigger falls outside of the definition of what the ATF is saying a machine gun is. Now, a lot of the questions that were circulating around was whether or not Rare Breed actually got approval from the ATF. Did they ever submit this to the ATF for actual finding that this is not a machine gun? Now, this is coming directly from the complaint and what Rare Breed stated. They state that the plaintiffs further advised SAC that they were deeply concerned about this conclusion because the ATF's Firearms Technology Branch has previously approved a forced positive reset trigger similar to the FRT-15 called the 3MR trigger in October of 2013, and to the best of plaintiffs' knowledge and belief, the 3MR trigger remains available, approved for purchase on the open market. A true and correct copy of that October 31st, 2013 approval was also attached to the complaint. So essentially, one of the questions that people are asking is, did they ever get approval from the ATF that this specific trigger is not a machine gun? And here they're saying, no, they never submitted approval for the ATF, but they relied on a prior approval from a different trigger that the ATF did determine was not a machine gun. Also from the complaint, they state that they also went out and got independent opinions from various attorneys, as well as from former ATF employees, that this specific trigger did not fall within that definition of a machine gun. Now, again, that's good, but it's not necessarily direct confirmation from the ATF that is not a machine gun. And now you have the ATF actually coming up with that specific determination that it is. So that covers the letter that the ATF sent and the general complaint from Rare Breed against the ATF, the DOJ, and some of the procedures that have happened at this point. We'll likely get some more updates as this works its way. So a lot of people are asking me kind of what now? What happens with all this? Well, likely, again, this is going to work its way through the legal process. It's going to go through the district court. And I don't really see this going in the way of the favor of Rare Breed. I think this judge already kind of reading some of the stuff that was written. I think this individual is going to rule against Rare Breed, find that this is a machine gun. Then that's going to get appealed up to the circuit court level. There's going to be a battle there. And then maybe, if depending on what happens there, it ends up at the Supreme Court. But one thing I want everybody to take out of this video is how important it is for us to take action when the ATF is actually trying to do things like this. One of the things I've been very vocal about for you guys to do is to comment on the proposed rule to change the definition of frames of receivers. As of next week, the commenting period for that will close. And again, that is another action by the ATF to arbitrarily redefine things to bring more things within their regulation, within their power, and essentially ban you from exercising your Second Amendment rights even more. So if we don't want more situations like this with the FRT trigger, with bump stocks, frames and receivers, pistol braces, we need to get active, we need to get vocal. And if you have not dropped a comment on both the frames and receivers proposed rule and the pistol brace proposed rule, please go do that. I will put links in the details for you guys to go drop your comments. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you guys like this video and like support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm, or fuel Al Gore's rhythm, as a lot of you guys like to say. It helps us signal to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos, in this type of two-way news, and then it pushes it to more people. Thank you so much for everybody who's been liking, commenting, subscribing. You are definitely impacting this channel, helping my videos to reach more people, educate more people about Second Amendment rights, Second Amendment news, all that stuff. And that is all because of you guys taking action. So go ahead and drop a comment down below that you're commenting to fuel Al Gore's rhythm or fuel the algorithm. I really appreciate that. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars and this nation will maintain by armed scholars.